everyone. Welcome again to another episode of With That Being Said, a Rue Fitness podcast. This is part of our summer diet series. I made that up just now. It sounded good. Summer diet series? No? This is the third part. Why are you looking at me like that?
I don't know. It's like I guess, yeah.
Well, this can be applied to more than just nutrition.
Yeah.
Oh, this one definitely. But, we've been kind of doing a series of... Mm-hmm. Okay. Awesome. So,
we focused on nutrition this summer, our summer nutrition series, I would say. Because every week to every 2 weeks, we've been talking about something that can be applied to nutrition.
Love it. So we have with us our content manager, Miss Sarah Altabello. We have with us the COO of the company and Director of Nutrition, Miss Emily Schneller.
What up?
And I am the color commentator for today's episode, and also your programmer and...
Rue Visionary.
Rue Visionary. I like that. I'll take that.
Humble servant of
I wasn't going to say it.
Podcast world.
Oh,
I cut
but
it
your
out.
bracelet said it for you, so.
I have a cool little bracelet here.
Oh, I didn't even read it. And I
says-
should have.
Shamey made this for me. That's Shane and Jamie made this for me. If you could see my wonderful bracelet here. Okay, it's rainbow colored, and it says, Humble Heart Servant.
I think I put that on one of your Instagram posts.
I love it.
Humble servant of everything.
I love it. So, you got that, Amy? I am humble. So,
One of our two listeners.
one of our two listeners. So that's not true. All right. Today's show is
We've got at least 5.
Yeah.
At least 5 listeners.
Is all about self-sabotage. Let's start out why is that important to talk about this?
I think, first of all, awareness of the things that you are doing that maybe are keeping you from your goals is step number one. And we're going to go into traits that self-sabotagers have and things that they do, but also ways to work around them. I think awareness of, if you can visualize yourself in any of these things that we're about to talk about, it may be a reason that has kept you from achieving something that is important in your life that you want to. And it can be applied to more than just nutrition and more than just fitness. It's just goals in general, and self-sabotaging yourself is something that we see a lot.
It's a lot easier to put the blame on someone else,
Now-
right? Or outside factors.
I know you have self-sabotaged yourself.
Yep.
Big time. Have you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I don't know if I have.
I mean,
Because I don't know if I've ever, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You definitely have.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have.
From a business standpoint.
Well, I haven't, just period.
Do you see me doing it other areas than business?
No. So, for those of you, why don't we tell that story real quick?
Okay. What story?
Yourself. Tell us your
enlighten us.
self-sabotage experience
In general?
with business, with this company.
With Stacked?
Yeah.
I mean, I had the idea for Stacked Coaching. When did we have that meeting?
We had a meeting
Over a
about
year ago.
September of
18
2019.
months ago.
Yeah.
And I got really excited and had this kind of thing that I wanted to put together, and just got lost in the how, and I got stuck on the details. And so then nothing happened. We had a logo and nothing else, and it was just crickets for a really long time. And I had to get over my perfectionism, and I had this big, hairy, audacious goal that I set for myself, and I had a team to help me execute it, but I got stuck in the minutia, and I think it was a lack of confidence too. I wanted to put something together to make a really great impact, and it was a big undertaking, and I was just scared that I wouldn't achieve what I wanted to achieve.
Yeah. I witnessed it myself. And then one of the other things I thought that happened is if you have like this big goal and you can envision it, and maybe you don't know the deets to get there, you can also let success in another area get in the way. And you kept making,
Yeah. So I started working as a consultant for another company, and then I blamed it on lack of time. And I had a bunch of excuses. And I think they tie into a lot of the things that Sarah brainstormed and said that she saw that she sees people who self-sabotage do. Like, I'm looking at Sarah's bullet points that she has.
Number one.
Yeah, but it's interesting too, because you had me, and I was there along the way saying, quit this successful thing that's bringing in the revenue that we need to our family, because as long as you have that, you were never going to finish this company.
I had a serious safety net, and because when COVID happened, that safety net was ripped from under me, and it put my feet to the fire. And like, okay, I got the time. I'm out of excuses. I need to
This is no
put
longer
this
here.
thing together.
Right.
And lo and behold, here we are with a beta group. And
Yeah, and I know early on, you and I were so focused on launching the product that we didn't have. We were meeting for an hour every week to work backwards on when to start advertising it and how to do that, and getting almost like the pre-content out into the universe. And that came to a screeching halt.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Good. Thanks
So,
for sharing.
I mean, that leads right into Sarah's first
Yeah,
bullet
Sarah.
point, if we just want to start there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I too can be guilty of this. Over planning can be a way to self-sabotage yourself. And while planning is great and being organized can be a stress relief, if you don't marry it with action, it can be a way to keep yourself from actually getting things done. Over planning can be a form of procrastination. And so that's a big one I see a lot. And like, it becomes easier to make the plan super detailed than to act on it because of fear of failure.
Yeah.
I find almost always, not always, but a lot of success occurs when people just start and figure it out along the way.
Yeah.
And perfect it. The people that wait, guess what? You missed.
That was me. And I say all the time, like, if it had been up to me, Rue Fitness wouldn't be around, because I get so hyper focused on the planning and over planning and working out the details before I start and reading all the things there is to know and, collecting a bunch of data. And Bradley doesn't have that mentality or that belief system. He just starts, even if it's crappy, he'll just get better the next day. And I think back, like, where we started with Rue, like, we didn't have the space that was perfect. We had a logo that was slapped together.
There was no business
our
plan.
Website was
I built our
god
website.
awful. Our colors were horrendous,
They're very bright.
and we just slowly, implemented one thing at a time and got a little bit better. And that started to incrementally build up. And here we are 7 years later with a much different product than what we had when we started. But what was important is we started.
Yeah.
Right.
And
So.
I mean, I remember having that feeling when I started coaching.
Yeah.
Like, I had the knowledge, but like, I was never going to feel totally ready there, or when I started teaching ballet to teach my first class. Like, you can shadow someone all you want, but until you are the one in charge and in control, you're not really ready.
Yep.
And so I remember, on a much smaller scale, but being like, you just have to go.
Yep.
Yeah, I think where we are with this, and we're talking about business. There's a lot of other things that can spin off of this in terms of over planning. But I think your number two is kind of couples with this a little bit. So
Yeah.
Instead of ping pong, let's just go.
Yeah, no, instead of like over planning, you can continue to search for inspiration. And I think also a lot of people, like, for example, just working out. People will not do it because they don't feel motivated or inspired to do it when all you really need to do is act, and you need to start somewhere.
This was me yesterday, by the way.
Yeah.
I walked in and I'm like, I do not want to work out. Like, I was super tired. I didn't feel great. I did not have the inspiration. And we just started.
And essentially what happens is you are constantly searching for answers. And that's like when we get people that come in for nutrition consultations that have been looking for inspiration for what diet is best. And then they've gone down the Google rabbit hole and they've got more information than they know what to do with. And they're completely overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Like, it can lead to an information overload.
It reminds me of the conversation that we had with Taylor, because when Taylor walked in for nutrition coaching, she had a lot of the knowledge. She was using the terminology correctly. You know, I could tell that she had read articles and books and whatnot. But what she needed was a filter. She needed somebody to filter out all the noise and just put her on a path and give her direction.
I want to throw something in there, which is not everyone's inspiration has to be some grand thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, when you and I sat down for nutrition coaching, and Emily was coaching me in nutrition, and, you know, she does this with everybody, and Sarah does this with everybody, and I do it, you know, find your why. Mm-hmm. I just want to look better.
Yeah.
I want to feel good about myself and look better. Well, why? There's no deeper reason. Nothing happened to me as a child. You know what I mean? Like,
Really?
Ooh.
Well, okay. but I mean, like,
Damn.
It doesn't have to be some big thing, you know? Like, it's not like, oh, well, you know, my brother was in a car accident and I need to do this, and, you know, this is why. Or you're one of our latest members who, you know, saw their sister and didn't want to end up like their sister 9 years from now. It doesn't have to be that, you know? It could just be simple as, I need to start somewhere, and today is the day.
Yeah, you don't need to get your inspiration from anyone or thing outside of you.
I like that. Yeah. So, cool. Emily, what do you got?
Something that I see a lot with people to self-sabotage is they're vague with what exactly they want. I remember actually talking with Sarah about...
This would be the more extreme version of what I just said.
Yeah. I just think that it's important to start with the end in mind, because otherwise you're spinning in circles. I remember talking to Sarah about one of her clients going through like troubleshooting, and this client was very frustrated, and I stopped Sarah and I was like, wait, what is her goal? Like, she needs to have a concrete goal, because otherwise what are you working towards? So I see that a lot. I think that it is important that you set a measurable goal, and it allows your coach or whoever is helping you, like, help you work backwards.
And I think a lot of being vague, I think sometimes kind of loops back to what Bradley said, and there's like a lack of confidence. Like, just because a lot of times we're wanting our why to be much grander. Like, we don't think it's enough, and so we don't commit to it because it doesn't sound as great as we want it to. And I think that's part of it, is not being confident in your reasoning. But it doesn't matter. It's yours.
Yeah.
I think sometimes people are like hesitant to tell me their real why, maybe, if it is just based on
Looks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I tell that all the time, is do not be ashamed of wanting to look good and feel good.
Yeah. Because
I feel like in 2020 we've kind of demonized that, you know, where like, and we've talked about this a little before, where there might be some shaming going on. Like, is it a terrible thing if I want to look really good naked? I don't think so. I mean, especially if
Well, and I think that goes into this whole other mindset, I think, is some people think your desire to make good decisions for yourself is a way of you reflecting on them, that you judge them for choices that they do not like.
You get that? I've gotten that. Have you gotten that? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's super interesting, and it's almost like the closer you get to reaching your success, the more that other people want to tear you down for that, because it probably makes them feel inadequate, or they're not working to meet their goals, or they're self-sabotaging themselves. So if I can't reach my goals, fuck your goals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? So, speaking of goals.
Another thing that I see self-sabotagers do is getting stuck in the belief system that, you know, if they have a poor track record of achieving their goals, then they'll never reach their goals. Usually when I'm working on habits with a client and they want to work on something, I ask them the question on a scale of 1 to 10, like 10 being I'm going to crush it. How confident are you that you can actually do this thing? And if they tell me like a 7, I'm like, okay, what do we need to change about it to make it a 10? You know, if it's, you know, trying to get 3 fistfuls of vegetables in every meal and they're feeling like 7, I think I can maybe do that possibly. Okay, what can we do to make that a 10? Let's just focus on dinner. Let's make it 2 fistfuls instead of 3 fistfuls, or whatever the thing is. But let's scale back and get you a win, because then you start to build up momentum. If you get a win, no matter how small it is, you start believing that things are possible. So that's where this baby step approach really fits in. Let's get you a win and let's build on those wins every single week.
It's interesting you say that, because, and I'm just going to speak to myself personally here, this is maybe like my 4th or 5th time doing macros for a period of time. I feel like this time it's stuck.
I think a big part of that is me doing it with you too. It makes
we're doing it together.
So much easier when your partner does it too.
Right.
Doing it solo is a challenge.
Yeah. But one of the things before was I would do it for a little bit and then I would stop and do it for a little bit and stop. But I happened to do it long enough this time, or I was this place in my life where I started seeing results really quickly and my body started to rapidly change, which are little wins, right? Mm-hmm. And every time I noticed something different about my body, I was like, I don't want to drink. I don't want to mess this up. You know, like I want to stay on this track. Now, I take breaks. You know, Saturday didn't count at all. You know, Sunday I was a little loose with it. But man, it's like I want to get back on that because I'm enjoying seeing this science experiment turn positive for me. You know,
Bradley's like, "Do you want to eat out?" And I'm like, "No." Like, let's keep doing this.
Yeah, and I think we get so wrapped up. We want all progress to not just be linear, but we want it to be noticeable, I feel like, from day to day.
Right.
We get so wrapped up in that. And even that, like, that just causes stress that can mess you up everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is kind of off track a little bit. But, you know, I forgot where I was going with this. Completely.
A for effort.
Yeah. It was off track. Progress. Progress takes a long time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
True progress.
So like, or maybe rapid progress where, you know, I am right now or where you are, you know, we've been building this way for a long time. By a long time, we've talked about it on the show quite often before, 10 years.
I mean,
experimentation.
I posted a before and after picture on Instagram yesterday or the day before. The first picture, like the quote unquote before picture, was me from 6 years ago. And that is when my journey with really figuring out this nutrition business started. And granted, I didn't have a coach way back when. It was a lot of like figuring things out and trial and error and whatever. But it has taken me 6 years to get to where I am now.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I have a lot of people ask me, how long have you been working out? Like, how long do I have to work out to look like that? We know it's different for everyone. But, I mean, if I think about it, I would say 8 years ago, I lost a bunch of weight, and that led to a lot of change. And then put on 4 years of intense weight training on top of that. And, like, over time, my body has changed dramatically. You know, but it was 8 years of doing different things and figuring things out and making tweaks and changes along the way.
Yeah. So But talking about little wins and stuff like that, you need to be aware when you said progress isn't linear. That's where I wanted to go. And so like I have a client, and she did a scan, and her scan showed progress. Okay, body fat percentage went down, weight went down. A lot of things looked pretty good. Okay, but it wasn't big enough progress for her. And I was like, well, what you have to understand is in this time period, we've increased your calories by more than 100, okay, per day. And you are on your menstrual cycle while you're taking this scan, which you weren't last time. So you have extra bloating than you had before, yet your body fat percentage still went down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
your weight still went down.
It
might not be what you want it to be, but that's a win.
I need to find it because it was really powerful, but I read something, I guess about a year ago, about basically, I think it was talking about like a goals first mentality versus the systems first.
Yeah.
And how you should fall in love with the systems or the process and not the goals. Because
that's Nick Saban too. Nick Saban's all about the process.
So the way it was worded, though, is like if you have a goals first mentality, you're basically depriving yourself of any joy until you've reached that goal. Like you are not allowing yourself to feel happy at all until you reach the top of the mountain, essentially.
I almost feel though like it sounds terrible. Well, it is terrible, but that's where we are kind of as a society right now. If you think of like if you just look at sports, it's for the Saints this year, right? Everybody's like Super Bowl or bust.
Yeah.
Well, that sucks because this could be, or like the year we lost against the Rams in the NFC Championship game. Okay. Which, yeah, it was terrible, right? Like absolutely terrible. That was still an amazingly fun season, right?
Yeah.
We were watching videos every week, doing choppa, it was awesome. But, because of that single game at the end, and we were looking at like, it's this or bust, it kind of ruined it for us, which is weird. And the same thing could be said about the 2011 LSU Tigers. They had one of the greatest seasons ever, beat a ton of top-ranked teams, but then lost in the national championship to Bama, and no one remembers that season.
Well, yeah. So you bring up sports specifically. The year we won the Super Bowl, I have this very vivid memory of being on a drive with my dad after we went 8-0. And we were on Carrollton Avenue, and some guy and his son were out with their Saints flag, like dancing on the neutral ground. And I'm like, would I have made that memory less meaningful if we had lost at the end of it,
Right.
Versus, we went on to win it all, so that sticks out. But, like, I wonder if we hadn't, would I have been like, would I have just kind of shoved that in a corner somewhere?
Yeah, that sucks.
I have nothing to add to this
Emily definitely does.
about sports.
Sports and the things and the coaches.
Let's just look at both of your competitions, the powerlifting competition that both of you did, the Raging Games competition. Like, if you put all your focus on I need to podium, like
anything less is disappointing.
Right. And that might be different if you're a professional athlete.
Right.
We are not professional athletes, okay? But it was more of like both of you had the attitude of, let's see what we can do.
Yeah, my goal in both of those situations was, okay, I've trained hard. I've worked my body physically and mentally. I've worked myself into a really good place. I just want to show up and be proud and feel like I have shown the work that I have done, whatever that means.
Yeah, I'm going to push back a little bit because I don't think that there's anything wrong with setting goals for yourself. Like, I set a goal for myself, and it wasn't to podium necessarily. That would have been nice the second time around. But I wanted to hit like a 315 deadlift, and I didn't. But what's important was my mindset after I didn't achieve my goal. I wasn't like, screw this. I wasn't crying because I didn't hit the podium. I wasn't like, oh, I screwed that up and beating myself up. I was compassionate with myself and, didn't happen this time. I did it in practice, couldn't do it in competition. whatever, I'm still having a great time. So I think you can have both. You can have goals, and if you don't necessarily achieve them, you can enjoy the process along the way and realize that I accomplished a lot just by having this experience and by training in a way for this competition. Ultimately, I didn't get what I wanted, but that's the way the cards fell that day. So,
Truth. All right, Sarah, what you got?
Another way we self-sabotage is by putting ourselves in a box. I think this is probably the one I am the most guilty of. I think we put a lot of limitations on how we define ourselves, and I feel like there are plenty of people I know that have said they would love to start a business or do X, Y, and Z, but they are worried that they will not be perceived as being serious enough or an expert in that field, so they just don't follow through. And they're more worried about what other people are thinking about them versus their passions and their skill sets and making it happen. Like, you can be like really great at your job, but have some weird off the wall passion that you eventually use to make a side hustle.
Right.
But like, you can exist in both worlds.
I like that.
we are multifaceted.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like why I realized I was doing it. That's why I dyed my hair blue 3 years ago. Because I realized I was really sick of hearing myself say, I can't pull that off. Like, that's cool, but I could never do that. So I went and I dyed my whole head of hair blue, and I loved it.
I liked it. All right, Emily.
Mermaid hair.
Last one.
It was great.
Having the belief that if there is no pain, there is no gain. And this is a tricky one. I'm sure everybody has heard that phrase. If there's no pain, there's no gain. It's tricky because on one hand, it's kind of true. Like, things that are worth accomplishing are gonna be a little bit painful or push you outside of that comfort zone. And I always say that, like, that is the sure sign of growth, is that when you get that like pit in your stomach and you're like, oh, this scares me a little bit, go towards that feeling, because that is a sign that things are happening. The tricky part is, though, you want to get to a place where you are respecting that pain or discomfort and not creating it. Okay. So what I see a lot of self-sabotagers do is they make up their mind that they want to achieve something, and they do this like major grand gesture and change a bunch of things. They'll say like, oh, I want to lose weight, so I'm going to join a gym. I'm going to go, 5 or 6 days a week. I'm going to spend an hour and a half there. I'm going to sign up for some meal delivery service, and I'm going to put myself on 800 calories, and the food tastes like cardboard. And I am going to create all of this pain for myself, because if it's painful, that's a surefire sign that something good is happening. That is what not to do.
I like it. All right. Good. Anything else to add?
I mean, I think just the way around that is kind of the approach that we take with people. It's even when people are coming to and signing up for a gym membership or nutrition, if they tell me, I'm going from sedentary to my goal is to be here 6 days a week, I might challenge them a little bit on that, you want to ease into this, because if you go crazy right out of the gate, it's just not sustainable.
I always tell people it's a journey, not a sprint.
Yeah.
And I think the same could be said for your nutrition.
Yeah.
The wise Bernard Waldman has like 5 to 8 catchphrases and jokes that he uses for everything. And I tell myself this at least once a week. But one of his is, the race is not to the fastest, but to the one who keeps on going.
That's true.
I love that.
It's a Buddhism.
Yeah.
I like it.
All right, y'all. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, rate, review.
5 stars only.
5 stars only, and kind words, please. And that's it. You can find us at that _. Nope. That's. I was about to say at That Dad Life Podcast. Nope.
There too.
At Rue_fitness. Check us out. Share us. Recommend us to a friend. We're worth it. So
Give it to us. We're worth it.
all right, y'all. Peace.
Bye.